Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Reverse 1999 reaction. Today we have Where All Paths Align as requested by Absolution in the comments of the last video, and quite a few people agreed, so here I am getting to this. I'm aware that it's the second anniversary theme, and other than that, I don't really have any other information, so I'm just gonna listen to it as I always do, and without further ado, let's go! Already has a pretty interesting start to it. That like staticky kind of synth in there was a really cool texture. It's an interesting accent for the vocalist too. Beautiful tone, though. I love this, like, pulsy sidechain sort of effect. It's on the bass line. You can just barely hear that kick in there that's causing that sidechain. Very subtle. They're going very minimal with it. There's not a lot of layers, not a lot of unnecessary stuff happening. It's basically just the bass line and those little, like, the synth arpeggiating. There's a little bit more texture, starting to evolve it a bit. It's wild recognizing some of these scenes. That feels so weird since I haven't played it, but I've done enough of these videos. Oh, also, beautiful top line, like the melody that was being sung, absolutely gorgeous. That is so perfectly like minimalist with just enough vocal runs to make it feel alive and flowing. It's what the fuck? That was really good. Dorian at Oasis Audio, the one who made this song, or at least composed it. Wow, what an amazingly solid understanding of simplicity and minimalism in music. That is insanely clean. There's a lot going on in this song that just felt so beautifully fluid, and I mean, a part of that was because of the rhythm. I was talking about how like that like side-chained bass line with the kick and how subtle that was. Like the kick was barely in there for that entire first section, and they did add it a little bit like stronger later in, of course, but for especially that first like verse or two, there was really not much of like that punch from the kick. There was really no like attack to it at all. It was just the side chain affecting the bass line, and you still got that feeling of that churning in there, and it kept you aware of the rhythm, and it was still subtle enough that it brought you along for the story because you were starting a little bit more subtle. And definitely for songs like this with the message of it being an anniversary song, song and also talking about everything that has happened so far in the universe. It's really good to start at a subtle spot that just kind of brings you along gradually and keeps introducing things subtly over time, just little aspects, little new layers and such, like that little bit of percussion it added later with like the extra layers in there when we started getting a little bit more intense, and I mean a little bit more intense. But largely this song was just, again, a masterclass of keeping things subtle, keeping this song as absolutely stripped down, bare minimum as was needed to convey the emotion they needed to. I've actually been getting a lot of songs like this recently in the requests, where just like they're super subtle at the start and they build up very naturally. I don't know what it is in the water that people are requesting that type of song right now, but I've heard a lot of these recently, and this is definitely probably top 2 of like that approach at this point, because this just nailed that essence of having nothing around you. There was nothing. It was just the bass line that was like setting that low register and keeping that churning rhythm going, and then just a little bit of synthetic stuff going on in the background. It was also very like heavy on the reverb too, so it just kind of felt like it was floating around your head and not really trying to engage with you at all as the listener. It was just being atmospheric the entire time, and it's just like, this is how you do that. This is how you make a song feel like it is on an ethereal plane beyond your reach, but at the same time you're affected by it. So you can feel that rhythm, you can feel that pressure, and again, as those other layers got added with the percussion and such, there was suddenly a moment of connection between you and the song. And that's exactly when, during the song, they decided to introduce all of these like memory things, these like memorial bits of having the parts of the story that we have seen, and even the parts that I recognized, which is still weird because I've never played the game, but I was recognizing different parts of the story that I have covered through just the songs alone, and I was remembering things like all of the people dancing in that fire. I remember that backstory because people told me in the comments what that was, and the fact that it hit me that way while also not really being a part of the community in that degree is super impressive. Like it legitimately hit me like an emotional like punch to the gut, just a slight one. It wasn't like full force like I'm sure it would be to a lot of people who have lived in this universe for as long as it's been around, but also the fact that it was able to influence my own existence in that way shares a lot about this song and how well it did what it set out to do. And again, just in keeping everything like detached the whole way through, the vocalist was really the only thing that felt like it was reachable and attainable as a part of this song. Everything else was just kind of noise beyond them, and the vocalist did again such an amazing job with how the top line was. For those who don't know what a top line is, when I say that, it's literally just like the part of the song that's written to be sung, or the main melody that sits on top of the overall like composition. It's just that, right? So like when I say top line, I mostly in this case just mean what the singer was singing, including the lyrics, and that was beautiful. Again, just the lyrical message being very clearly a reminiscence of everything that had happened, and in general just kind of summarizing things and the emotion of the concept in the story at that point in time. And it's just like, okay, well, there's the lyrics, but God, those notes, like specifically the runs, those were chosen like a samurai chooses their weapon. It is a part of their body, and this felt so specific as to where some of those runs were placed and what exact notes were being hit. They were like playing with the emotion a little bit further. There were certain runs in here that were adding to the melodic structure of the track more so than just being a top line. I wonder if the vocalist didn't have a hand in choosing what some of those would sound like, because I know sometimes when people are bringing in vocalists to do songs like this, they let them them kind of do their thing, because a professional vocalist is going to have a different approach more often than not on how to handle a certain passage in a song, something that might make it feel a little bit more alive and a little bit more touchy. And this song had a lot of that, a lot of those touching moments where like the vocal line was adding some emotional weight to the end of a phrase because it felt like it was falling or rising a little bit depending on what exactly the emotion was supposed to be going for in that time. Like especially right at the end, there were a few that sounded very solemn compared to the rest of the song. Like the song had this like somber energy to it, but there were some runs in there that made it feel a little bit more emotionally distant than it would have been if you just stuck to the basic like top line structure of just holding out the note, right? Like there is a different approach how to handle things vocally that makes the emotion in a song change. If you decide to do one harmony versus another, it'll change the entire emotional structure of a piece. And that's very much true also for the lead vocals, where you need to make sure that those decisions are made super specific to the time that they're supposed to be there. And for this one, they were subtle, they were smooth. The vocalist was just so clean with it that it made it feel, again, distant and unattainable, but also grounded. As some of those like went down, especially, it brings you with it. It pulls you down to the ground a little bit, and it kind of makes you think a little bit harder for just a split second. It wakes you up and makes you reconsider what the song could be, where it might go next. For even just the briefest of moments, that can be a pressure chosen to be added to the listener's like mental space. Do they want you to feel like there's more of an emotional weight to this specific moment in the song? Probably, you know, like that's the intent behind these sorts of decisions. And that's why I think the vocalist probably had a hand in that too. Unless the songwriter themselves is also very much an accomplished vocalist, which it could be the case, and they just know exactly what they want. Maybe they had somebody write the top line for them. That's pretty common too. But usually top lines are written by people who know how to handle a top line, and a lot of composers aren't that great at it, so they'll hire someone. Either way though, they nailed it with the decisions they made here. Those specific spots, having those specific runs, making you feel a little bit more present in those fleeting moments in the song, really nail it down for what a second anniversary song should be and what it should make you feel as a player or just a casual listener like myself. But I've been yapping about this one forever, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you have another song from Reverse 1999 you want me to get to, by all means drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!